Well, I'm having my cup of coffee. I'm supposed to be at work at 10 o'clock this morning, and I look forward to going to work. I love being a dentist, and I got lucky. I became a dentist in 1969, and I married a beautiful woman, and we went to Germany for 3 years while the Vietnam War was raging, and my two brothers, Bill and Frank, were in Vietnam, and one brother was at Fort Ord, a master sergeant, and I was vacationing in Europe with a beautiful woman for 3 years. And that's where we had our only daughter. Her name was Gretchen. And we put an IUD in because we didn't want any more than one child, because we believed that it was a sin to have more than one when the planet already has twice the number of people it can sustainably support. In other words, we didn't want to violate the golden rule. Love your neighbors, one another, plants and animals, but you can't do that when you have twice the number of people the planet can sustainably support. Today we're destroying the plants, the animals, and each other with constant war, fighting over land and resources. So we decided to have one, but the IUD fell down, and she got pregnant. And at the time, abortions were illegal in Germany. So we had to fly to England to get it done, and so that's what we did. But a woman's reproductive choices are not black and white. We have to judge everything using, like Joseph Campbell taught me, using accounting 101 techniques. And like all the churches teach you, their God does. Every word, every product, and every service creates a debit and a credit. That's common sense. Accounting 101 techniques, how easy that is, right? God, I hated that class at UNLV, but I took it. And it was very difficult, I thought, accounting, I hated it. So anyway, so you need to judge. And abortion is a hot button, ridiculous, emotional, faith-based issue that is not a black and white. What are the debits and the credits of a given woman's situation, and whether she decides to carry the baby to full term or whether to terminate the pregnancy before it develops human consciousness, which takes place in about the third month. So those people that say life begins at birth, that's anti-science. If there's no human consciousness, how can you kill a human without human consciousness? It's a bunch of cells differentiating into a human being. But human consciousness develops at about the third month. So the first 3 months should be no question at all. And after that, it still needs to be left up to the woman, because a debit and a credit by having that baby born into a war zone, born into a mother with no husband, with 5 children to support, and they're all starving to death, so we want another one? Let's use a little logic, a little common sense, instead of emotional, faith-based beliefs that are tearing everything apart. Like Jonathan Haidt pointed out in his book, The Righteous Mind, published in 2016. An emotional, faith-based belief is much more powerful than a belief based on scientific facts. And like the New York Times pointed out in an editorial a couple of years ago, 48% of the American people are suffering from blind faith. They don't believe that we evolved up the primate ladder into human consciousness and that chimpanzees were our cousins. They don't believe it because they believe in something called creationism, which is programmed into their brains when they're open-minded young children still. Right off the bat, we segregate them into faith-based instead of knowledge-based schools. Knowledge is everything, but blind faith is destructive.